Okay, step one is making sure you have all of your stuff here, because if you're like me and you forget something and then you end up going back out into the wild world yonder to try to find it, you'll get distracted with something else. So we have everything here, I think, I hope. Please. These are the watering cups. You usually get ones from Rent-A-Coop. They've worked really well. I'm trying these ones out because they were a little cheaper, and they come with the gaskets, and these go into here and then go into these and then go into the PVC. So I'm going to have everything out. You absolutely need the gaskets because otherwise they will leak, and a lot of times you end up needing the tape. Goes around here. Okay, bye. Which I'm pretty sure that I have some in here, so let's hope. And the glue and the connectors, and it's time to play like Legos. Yay! This little thing is really helpful. Just an even little caddy. It accidentally happens to fit right in the top of the bucket. So I have the things I need the most right here off the ground and away from them, because they like to pick at everything. And then I can put the caps on. They won't spill. I mean, knowing me, I'll probably spill it anyways. But this is great. So these are a lot of things I'm going to need. I'll probably put the cups in here so they're right on hand and right nearby. Let's go. I swear you can't make this stuff up. I just got up and sat back down. And I mean, how? Just only me. Okay, so these turn into that. And put the, don't mind the spot on my finger. Put gaskets there and there. Trust me, you'll need them. I hope I won't need the plumbing tape because I did try to get up and look for some, and of course I couldn't find some, and I refused to go to Lowe's because that's a trap. It's a trap, and I refuse to fall for it. I'm not going to Lowe's. I'm probably gonna end up paying for that if I have to take all of these off and put plumbing tape on them, but let's hope not, because I'm kind of impressed with these ones so far. They fit very, very tight, so I'm hoping that they won't leak. So this goes on there, and then that goes in there. Thanks. Turns into that, and it goes on there, and then we're gonna go piece by piece and string it across. Now, why, you ask, don't I just sit down and put it together all at once on a nice flat surface where I won't be bothered by that? Because this really is a round surface here, and I have found when I have tried to put it together piece by piece, this is for you guys if you ever decide to do this, it's actually really difficult to make sure everything is lined up just right. And if you have one cup that's sitting nice and even like this, and then you happen to install another cup that's tipped like that, the cup won't work right. It won't fill up properly, or it'll leak. So I probably could figure out a way to sit down and do it all on a table all at once, but this works best for me. Other ways might work best for you, and that's totally fine. So let's get our first pieces put on. If you heard anything that I said over just the craziness. Alright, so let's get the gaskets on first, which are kind of a pain. Get it all the way down on there, and then the other, really, gasket goes flying. Gasket, not moving, goes here. Okay, this piece goes on here, if I know how to put it on right. Make sure it's tight but not too tight, because if you squash the gasket too much, you'll actually just push it out, but you obviously want it sealed and then aligned. So, because if it's crooked, it's obviously not going to sit right. And then this part goes into the T. Be careful when you're twisting these on that you don't have your pressure on any of the weak points. I know that seems like a given. Ask me how I know. It'll crack. So this gonna go on tight, and I'm giving most of my support up here. All right, so if I go any farther, look at, never, oh! If I go any farther, it's gonna squash it out, okay? This is probably the worst time for me to video this because they're literally being crazy. But here we go. Just in case that you don't normally work with PVC, don't be afraid of it. It's not scary. It's pretty simple and fun once you get the hang of it. I learned from my husband, my amazing husband. I sat and watched and nagged him and asked questions, and he was kind and answered all of them. Thank you, honey. So anyways, this goes on first, the primer. It'll clean it up. It's actually going to go on the inside of this. And then after you have, like that, the primer on the outside, there you go. And then it's going to go in here. Then you put the stuff, the cement, nice and gloopy, good amount. And you're going to quickly put that on top of the purple, and then with both hands, you're going to squeeze it on, give it a couple little twists, press it together really hard, and then make sure that this is aligned properly so it's even. Like that wasn't, I know it's hard to tell, but that is even. And then later on I'm going to be zip tying it to the fence so it has some support from the chickens being weird with it. So now's you want to do it quickly. You want to make sure that it's even where it's at before you let it dry. And then we're going to go piece by piece. So I'm going to cut another piece of PVC and do that all the way down. Might not be the most efficient, but it's the best way for me to get it done just right, so I don't waste any cups by having them tipped and properly. Okay, so here's putting the primer on. Now you can put, oh, of course it's dripping. I usually do this over the actual container. You can put the primer on both sides, but not the cement, because you obviously don't want the cement to dry on the other side before you have the pieces all ready. So next comes the glue. Okay, so here's where we have to be a little bit quick in getting the glue. And for all the people who do this for a living, I'm sure you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's so much. But it is what it is. This is what I got. It's gloopy. Get over it. It'll be fine. Okay, so then we're going to squeeze that on there. Push and give it a couple of twists. And then you want to make sure wherever you're going to have it sit, probably right there, that it's level and even. Give it another push and twist. Okay, now at this point, I'm probably going to take a zip tie because the weight is changing. I don't want the alignment to change too much. I don't want the alignment to change too much or else it'll mess up this being level. So I can always remove these later if I want. This will give me a little bit of extra control. But I still have room to pull it out if I need to. So we're looking good so far. So next is we're gonna cut off the piece here, and it says 6 to 8 inches, it being the internet, of preferred space between each cup, but it depends on your chickens. If you have small chickens or a lot of chickens, you could probably fit more. So I have this at 8. I was doing 6 before, but that was just too close for me because my chickens are fat. So I'm going to cut that. You want to make sure the cut is nice and straight, as straight as you can get it, because if it's crooked at the bottom, that's nice and straight. If it's crooked at the bottom and sticking out, the coupling piece, chicken poop, won't fit properly. So then we're going to prime both of these without dripping it on our cutters. Come on, focus. really doesn't want to focus. Okay. I'll just do it all the way down here. And then this one is ready after it dries a little to be glued in there. And remember, we already primed this one. Now, at this point, probably the next one, because this curves, I'm going to add a 45-degree angle. So that way there's not too much tension. I could put one there, but I think that would probably make it stick out too much. Okay, so here comes the cement. This dries pretty quickly, so put the cement on. A little bit more for in here. You want to be careful to not get it so far in there that it messes up the outlet for the water. So sometimes this will actually push itself out. So you want to make sure you push, give it a couple twists, and then hold it. Hold it for a few seconds. And then it's good. And then, so you can see here, now it's sticking through that because of the angle. So here's where I'll probably add something like the 45-degree angle to help just gradually guide it around the turn. But it's coming along pretty good. Chickens are going to be happy. Let's hope I have a cap for the end. Knowing me, I ran out and I will not go to Lowe's. Well, that's not going to work. That will send it all the way over there. So, not time for that yet. Okay, it's getting there. It's looking good. Making our way down. I started to space it out a little bit more because the chickens are fat. They need more space. Even though they'll all try to drink out of the same cup. It'll be the one cup out of 20. Anyways, this is Ankle Biter. I'm really hoping he doesn't live up to his name today. He's been one of the loudest. I'm surprised he's not creating problems right now. He's a mixture between a white Sultan and a Polish. He had a brother. Got a whole lot of attitude, that one. Okay, we are installed. Done. Everything is in. Looks nice and clean when it's brand new, which lasts maybe 5 minutes once they get using them. But that's okay. I capped it there instead of adding another cup because I'm going to pipe in the rabbit hutch, which is a project for another day. So that's there for later. That way I have enough room to play around with it. So we're not going to turn the water on right now though. I'm going to behave and I'm going to be patient and wait. I'm not going to just wait the 20 minutes because it's cold and the glue takes longer to cure when it's cold or hot or humid. So I'm going to actually put a timer on so I'm not tempted to come back and turn it on and see if it's working. Because the last thing you want to do is turn it on when this isn't cured all the way and have it start bubbling out here and ruin that entire seal. So it'll leak. You won't be able to take this off. You'll have to cut it off, but you won't be able to use it because it'll be leaking. So just set yourself a timer and wait 2 hours. I'm probably not going to last that long, but I'll try. Okay. Well, we'll see. Okay, moment of truth. They're all killing. There. I don't see any leaking. They're not overfilling. Now, the chickens have water. Oh, you know what it is. them are spilling. They have plenty of room to get their waddles in there if they want. You can get a whole bunch of water. Did I not tell you they would all try to drink out of the same cup? This is really helpful in the summer. Chickens don't have a whole lot of ways to cool off, so this works real nice. All right. Just some last little pointers. This is schedule 40 PVC, and I would recommend, if you have the opportunity, to try to get some schedule 80 PVC or UV resistant PVC, which we didn't know existed until we looked it up, because we didn't need it before, so why would we look into it? We have decided that aside from the freeze actually blowing it out, it became brittle because of 5 years of being in the sun and the heat and so on. So we wanted to set it up, we wanted to set it up so we would basically never have to replace it again, but they didn't have any at the hardware store, so we went with this. There are ways to protect it. You can paint it with acrylic paint, you can put pool noodles over it, but these guys will eat that, so we're going to look into painting it, and hopefully that'll make it last a little longer, so it'll be more than 5 years again before we have to replace this, hopefully never. Okay, this is going to be a little grody in here, but because we have issues with iron, this is what I call the water bucket. There's all the iron, and there's a float valve in here, which is a little crooked right now, but that's okay. So I built this to be piped in directly to the house, so it goes in through here and down in the ground and over to the house. So this, whenever it gets below a certain level, will allow the water to run, and it'll fill back up to the float, which will then shut it off when it's filled up. That way the water comes out that tube down there. Underneath, it's a mess, and down through these pipes and through into the watering system. So there it is again. Because house pressure is 40 or more psi, these cups can only handle 2 or 3 psi, or else it'll blow out, it'll spray everywhere, you'll ruin the cups, it won't work, they can't handle it. This is a good solution. I keep this water level low, so as they're drinking, it's constantly being refilled with cooler water rather than it being high and getting warmed up during the summer. So there's that. Hopefully I'll be able to show you how I put this together and show you a clean one, because that's yucky. Okay, here we are, day 2, working on fixing this line and improving it. Oh, what are you doing over there? This time, even though it's making a little more work for myself, we're going to put a T in here and an elbow in there, so we have 2 separate lines running down. One to feed that side, which are our American breasts, and those are our main breeding stock for hatching out eggs for new layers and for our meat birds. And then this side is the mixed flock. Right, so those are just left there for layers, and we want to keep them pure. So last time I alternated it, so I only had to do one line, back and forth, back and forth. The problem is, right here, as you can see, even though these cups are spaced far apart, this junction is too close together. So if I ever had a problem with this T that I would have to cut off and replace it, I don't have a lot of room to play with here. This is a new one that I also have to take out. So I wouldn't have a lot of room to add a new T, a coupling, whatever I wanted to do. versus having two separate lines, if you pretend like this isn't here, and spaced apart appropriately. If something goes wrong with this, I have plenty of wiggle room to fix and repair it. So it's things like that, that you learn as you're messing around with it and playing it. And these are way too close together, but we had ducks in here also. Don't use these for ducks. Chickens, yes. Ducks, absolutely not. They load them down with mud and everything else and sit on them and poop in them, and then they get clogged. It doesn't work. The dirt that the chickens leave is fine. It's easy to spray out. The cups still work with a little bit of dirt in the bottom. As you can see there, it's grody. So that's what we're gonna fix today. Let's see if I can get this done in a reasonable amount of time, because I also need to start seeds. All right, so that line is in and it's done. As you can tell, I don't mess around with our watering system with this heat and the humidity in the summer. I don't want the chickens to struggle. So we're gonna, again, be patient and wait for it to finish curing. And then over here, I put a shut-off valve for the other line that's gonna be put in later. Because I want to go ride my motorcycle with my husband. Remember, you guys, you're allowed to live a regular life too. You can take a break. Right, so there's that. Shut-off valves, another important note, have saved me so many times. I go kind of crazy with them. I want options. I want to be able to shut this off, but not that one, or that one and not this one. I have a shut-off valve up there that will cut it off from here down. Right? I have one over here so I could drain the bucket. I have one that's going up into the system in case I need to just shut down this whole system, but I don't want to shut down the hose that's connected to that line, but it's separate. So that helped a lot. When we had to shut both of these down because they were broken from the freeze, I still had the hose because that was piped in separate, and I could just shut off the water access to this area. So think ahead when you're putting those in. It doesn't matter if you use a bunch of them. They really have saved us a lot. So we're going to let that dry. And then this side, these guys over here will have water. And even if I don't get to do, there's a lot more of them. They're all, you can see them hidden over there. It's their favorite spot. There's a bunch of them, little white blobs. But those guys have water in the main every time I'm videoing. Guess it's appropriate it blurred it out. So there we go. Okay, moving on. Time to hit the road. All of them are working fine. Things to look out for, or if for whatever reason this won't stop filling, and then it'll drip endlessly out here. If it's leaking from here or from here, obviously you want to make sure that this is sealed properly, nothing's coming out from here. But for the cup itself, this is where you want to check 1, 2, and then making sure that that little spring in there actually engages and stops from overfilling and spilling out. So when the water fills, it weighs it down and it shuts off the little valve on the inside. When it's empty, it lifts up like that, and then the water comes out, right? I could tip it over and empty it, but here, let's show you on this one. So we're going to pretend like this one is empty, and it will rise up and fill. Right? Okay. Oh, I might as well. Empty. There. All of them are working just fine. So far, so good.